Today I have the opportunity to look at a Toyota MR2. Now this thing looks like a mini Ferrari and just happens to be right-hand drive imported from Japan. I'm going to take a look at all the cool things that make up the MR2 and take it for a drive. The Toyota MR2 is an iconic Japanese sports car. Now they actually had 3 generations of this car, from 84 to 99, 89 to 99, and 99 to 07. But I particularly think that this sort of mid-generation of MR2 was the absolute best looking variation. Now I'm going to go over all of the cool things that make up this MR2, but right away you can see this awesome looking scoop. It really kind of gives me the essence of a Ferrari 355. You have these little streaks right here, which I think look very, very cool of the design. This one is kind of tastefully modded, so you see that little exhaust sticking out, you see the white wheels, and you really start to get a sense that this is a serious but small little sports car. Coming into the front, you have a pretty good looking intercooler system right here. Of course, this manages part of the engine temperature and is definitely an essential need. Being down so low, you get nice, cool air. And of course, because this is a 90s car, you have pop-up headlights, which I'll show you in just a minute. Coming over and kind of taking a look at the front end, because the engine is in the rear, you can actually see from the driver's feet all the way to the front, it's actually pretty short, and this gives it just a really sporty feeling and is definitely an advantage of being a mid-engine car. One thing that I just think is so cool is this air scoop. Of course, you have the engine right there, so this air scoop actually helps to bring all of the air as you're driving into the engine compartment. But in general, you don't see a whole lot of cars with this, maybe the Pagani Zonda, but it really just makes it look super unique. And I think for a sports car like this is kind of a fun, unique touch to have. Coming to the rear of the MR2, you have some pretty cool looking tail lights. These are kind of iconic in the car industry, and you have a nice big old wing. This car has a tasteful exhaust that looks very, very nice. One thing I want to point out is this really unique piece of rear glass. You just don't see any glass that has this sort of curve anymore. I can't really imagine how hard it would be to find a piece of glass if this happened to break, but I think the fact that they kind of put this curvature into the glass, again, just adds to the specialness of this car. The MR2 had 2 different options for power plants. You had a normal 4-cylinder, which made around 130 horsepower, or you had the turbo version, which is this, which made 200 horsepower and had a twin turbo 4-cylinder. The cool thing is, all of the turbo models only offered it in a 5-speed manual. So with the normal version, the normal 4-cylinder, you could actually get an automatic, a 4-speed, but with the turbo, sort of the top dog, you could actually only get it in a manual transmission. Another nice thing and kind of weird thing about this car is you actually have a decent amount of trunk space. Obviously the engine is in the rear, but even behind the engine, you have this nice trunk compartment that you can actually fit a lot of stuff. It's definitely bigger than my S2000 and most other, mid-engined sports cars. Now, all MR2s were actually a T-top. So this top has glass panels that you can actually see through. And when you want, you can just take them off and stick them behind the rear seats, making this car the best of both worlds, whether you want to drive it with the top on or the top off. The cool thing about this particular car is it was imported from Japan. And obviously you can see this is a right-hand drive example, which makes it pretty rare here in the US. Of course, you have that aftermarket steering wheel and also some aftermarket gauges right there. Overall, this is a mid-90s Toyota, so I will say the interior quality is not the best. It's pretty much what you'd expect from a 90s Toyota. You see lots of plastic right here, and you also kind of see those normal cloth seats. It doesn't look terrible, but it definitely has aged compared to a modern vehicle. Let's get on a little bit in second gear and see how this sounds. Wow. That is the best turbo noise. I love how you just put your foot down and you instantly hear this really intoxicating, sucking sound from the air going in that air snorkel. That is just truly one of the best things you can kind of have in a car. This actually pulls a lot more than I kind of expected. I You know, the turboed version of this car has 200 horsepower, and you hear that and you kind of think, okay, it's going to be pretty slow. But actually, when you're talking about 90s sports cars that were pretty light, it really feels good. 200 horsepower is actually a good amount to give you some fun. Wow. See, this is kind of what I love about sports cars. This has all the right aspects. It's not 1,000 horsepower. It has a good push in your back. You have all the noises and sort of engagement that you could wish for, but you have a pretty light, easy to drive, fun car. And I feel like the MR2 does it so well. Because it does have all the unique features like the air scoop, like the rear, mid-engine setup, it gives you something that is pretty special, looks the part, and overall drives really, really great. The turbo noise is, almost overwhelming in here. It's definitely one of the standout kind of highlights of driving this car. Coupled with the manual transmission, it really gives you a pretty fun driving experience. You feel like you're, a race car driver when you're in this thing. You have a pretty low front end because it is mid-engine. You feel like you're almost over the front wheels, which is definitely kind of the opposite of my S2000, where you feel like you're in the very rear of the car. The suspension, you can definitely tell it's kind of a 90s car, but overall it's pretty compliant. You're not getting totally rattled around, nothing crazy. And when you want, you can be pretty quiet. You can be not obnoxious, but then when you want to have fun, you put your foot down. You hear that awesome blow off spool, and you're just gonna have a smile on your face. When it comes to cars that are in this price bracket, anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000, I think you kind of need to prioritize the smile over anything else. This may not be the fastest car in the world, but it's definitely one of the most fun sports cars you can buy. If you want a car that is gonna allow you to feel kind of like the boy racer that you wanna be, this is the car for you. It's definitely a pretty reliable car because at the end of the day, it is a Toyota, and it's something that you can get in, you can put on the miles, and you can have a ton of fun. Thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in this specific MR2, it is for sale in the Los Angeles area. It's a really, really cool car, right-hand drive, and has so many cool features. Definitely check it out in the link below. Thanks so much. Many more videos to come.